Hello strangers, video day today. I've got another in my I Remember series. This is going to be a bit of a long one, so I'm going to break it up into parts. But today's memory is going to be about Germany. So, Germany, as we know, nowadays, didn't used to be the big unified country that it is now. One time it was divided into East and West. So, first, a little bit of history here for those who may not know. After World War II, uh, the Allies divided Germany up into various sections. The British got the northern part, the Americans got the southern part, France got little sections of the Rhineland and such, and Russia had pretty much taken over the eastern part. And that's the way it stayed. And after the development of the Cold War, where it became a contest between the United States and its allies versus the Soviet Union and its allies, the country basically became divided into West Germany and East Germany. And so by the time 1980s came around, we were still in the midst of the Cold War. And in 1980, there had been an election. Ronald Reagan had been elected. He was about to step into office in 1981. And right around that same time, my dad, who was active in the military and stationed in Kansas at Fort Riley, got orders that he was going to go, his next station was going to be in Germany, in West Germany. Now, my dad was a radar tech in the Army. That means that he maintained and operated the ground radar that they used to locate tanks and incoming projectiles from cannons and such. Um, all complicated stuff that I know nothing about. But he was in charge of that. He was a chief warrant officer, a CW2, and therefore he was in command of a group of people, sergeants, corporals, privates, and such, whose job was to maintain those radars and operate them during when they needed them to. Usually they go off and what my mother called play army. They do these little drills and tests and war games and such like that. But obviously, if the Cold War had become a hot shooting war, my dad would be in the thick of it, operating these radars and being in charge of that. So we had orders to go to Germany, um, and but first my dad actually needed to be trained on a new radar system that I think they were using that was in use in Germany. So we went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for about 6 months first. And then we were going to go on to Germany. And so I've got some pictures of just before my dad leaves. There he is, kind of calm about the thing. We were going to go and visit our usual 2 week stint up in Michigan to visit our family. Um, most of whom lived in Michigan. Both sides of the family lived around Jackson area, and so there's Dad looking rather nonchalant. Now, me on the other hand, I was not too pleased with the whole thing, for reasons that I'll get into in other videos, or I've already gotten into other videos. Um, this is going to Germany is wholly the opposite direction of where I wanted to go. My first years of kindergarten, my first half of year kindergarten was fine, and then we moved to Kansas, and from then it went downhill. It was only getting worse, and I just didn't want to go somewhere where I was going to be the new kid to be picked on again. And it's not like an 8-year-old can say, "No, I'm not going." You're 8. You're going whether you want to or not. So, but off we went. We spent a couple weeks with family, and then my dad got on a plane in Detroit, and there's a picture of us right there. It's my dad in the back there in his uniform, my grandmother to his right, my uncle Mike to his left, and then myself and my little brother in front of him. Um, and he flew off from Detroit. And my mother, my brother, and I stayed behind for a little while. What you don't see in the picture there is not only am I not happy about this, but the figure eight brace that I'm wearing. While we were in Michigan, I had gotten on a bike and I was riding around a patch of grass in a basketball court in the backyard of my aunt and uncle's house. And for some dumb reason, and I'll admit it was a dumb reason, I closed my eyes. And I tipped over on the bike and landed right on my right shoulder. And it caused a hairline fracture in my collarbone. And apparently, the only thing for that is to put you in what they call a figure eight brace, which is effectively a bra without the cups in front. And it just shoves your shoulders back, and you sit there and with your shoulders back in this brace thing, and it was really uncomfortable. And I had to wear that not only through this picture, but for almost up to the point that we left to go to Germany ourselves. Um, Dad got to Germany and he started working with the radar groups there sometime in August. And this is the story that he tells, that he told us. My dad ended up doing war games with his radar group. They were out doing, tracking tanks and planes and whatever. And the main place to do all these war games is in a place called Grafenwehr, which is, I've got it marked on this little map here. It's real close to the East German border there. East Germany is due to the north, and almost due east is, well, this says the Czech Republic, but it was Czechoslovakia altogether at one time, also part and controlled by the Soviet Union. So, very close to where the Russians and their allies are. So they could kind of see the fact that, we mean business. We're going to be doing, we're going to be doing these war games right there in your front, right out there in your front yard. But while he was out there, they were using a radar system very similar to this one. This is a modern one. So this is a modern Humvee there. But if back in the 80s, it would be a Jeep, and they'd still have the trailer system here. But of course, on top of the trailer would be the radar is more of a concave dish type thing than this panel that you see there. And one day in August, it's rainy, it's windy, it's blowing rain. The rain is basically going sideways, the way he tells it. And the little radar thing up on top, which, like I said, would be a little bit more dish-like, the concave dish-like radars. Those are supposed to collapse down and fold onto the top of the unit there so that you can hook it up to the Jeep and take it away. But on this day, the radar dish wasn't collapsing down. And so he had his people go and tether the thing down, all the sergeants and, all the people that was under his command. And then he went up on top of that to make sure that all the straps are there. Well, when he was on there, the wind had caught him. The rain had slicked up the top of the unit there. And he got literally blown off the top of this radar. And that's a good 6 to 7 feet up there if you're judging by the guy in the picture, right? And he flew off the top of that thing and landed flat on his back. And that did damage. Unfortunately, he stood right up, which is a thing you're not ever supposed to do. But he stood up, he got up, and went about the business and went on. So, and really, yeah, his back hurt, but he just kind of shook it off and went on with it, not knowing that he did some damage, which I'll get into in later episodes here. So, we left Oklahoma up to Michigan again and met up with family and met up with my grandfather. Here's a picture of him. That's my grandpa Freddie. That's the one I'm named after. And then we drove down to South Carolina to Charleston to catch a plane to Germany. And so there's Germany there all together. So if you look pretty much in the middle there, you find a little place on the map called Frankfurt. That's where we arrived on Halloween day, early in the morning. We'd left on the 30th at night, flew all night, and arrived extremely early in the morning on Halloween of 1981. From there, we drove southwest into the region known as the Rhineland, which the French had controlled, and the what used to be the demilitarized zone between World War I and World War II. Um, so we drove down into there, past Kaiserslautern, and the more famous Ramstein Air Base, and then up into the hills to a little town called Baumholder. And Baumholder is, I mean, this big red zone there kind of belies what Baumholder is. That's mostly just hills and country all the way around it. The town itself, and I mean hills and country. Oh, and by the way, does anybody know how to get rid of that little map thing there? It's really annoying. But as I say, it's hills and everything like that, and nestled in this little valley is Baumholder itself. Now, Baumholder, as I explained in another video, is a little town completely surrounded by American Army. A little German town completely surrounded by American Army. So the German part, the town, the village of Baumholder itself is just pretty much what's within that little red circle right there. Everything else around it is U.S. Army. So that little, you got basically a little enclave of German people in that red oval there. And it might be a little bit, I'm sure somebody from Germany is going to get from Baumholder specifically is going to come in there and say, oh no, it's bigger than that. But that's pretty much that's town center of Baumholder. Everything pretty much else around it, is a little German town inside a bigger American town inside Germany. And so you have pretty much the base nestled in the valley there, in and around the town there. Main places to live were up on the hills, and there are two main hills that had housing areas. One was called Smith Hill, and the other one was called Wetzel Hill. And I lived on Wetzel Hill, and those apartments there. And my apartment was the one all the way at the end there, circled in red. And I went to school in the building that you see circled in yellow there. So, but that I will leave for a different story. So until then, see you all later, and stay strange. Thanks for watching my video. If you like what you just watched, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. For more of my videos, click the subscribe button on the screen or down in the description below. If you'd like to support me and what I do, I have books that you can read. The links are in the description below. If you want to support in other ways, you can go to my Patreon page and help me out there. You can also follow me on various social media pages. The links to all of those are also below. Thank you again. Stay strange.